Ulama in Focus with Ibrahim Musa.
It's now 33 past 8 Central African time. We turn the focus this evening to an interesting online project dedicated to disseminating Islamic knowledge and news from the Muslim world in a unique way. We want to find out the story this evening and some of the interesting feedback that has come to this approach of sharing Islamic information online. With us is Brother Rafiq bin Jubair. He is a student of the traditional Islamic sciences, a writer, a designer, and most importantly for this discussion, founder and editor-in-chief of IlmFeed, which is available on the social platforms, Twitter, Facebook, as well as the website ilmfeed.com. Brother Rafiq, great to have you on board this evening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Shukran for joining us this evening, Brother Rafiq, and speaking to our listeners all over the world, inshallah, as we try to share notes and we try to, inshallah, educate the Ummah about something that many people, English-speaking Muslims around the world, perhaps stumbled across over the last year or so. We're talking about IlmFeed, we're talking about the history of IlmFeed and the offerings of IlmFeed. You want to tell us a bit about how this project came about?
Firstly, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. IlmFeed is actually nearly 2 years since it was launched. It was launched in March 2014, so next month it's going to actually be 2 years. How it started, I was actually in the second last year of an Alimiya course I was studying, and I wanted to have a platform where I could share the knowledge that I had attained. So I noticed that there were a lot of Islamic websites which existed and had articles, but some of the articles I found were very long and were not engaging, particularly to the social media audience. I didn't think that they catered for them. So I thought, why not make a website myself? I had a background in design and marketing, so I thought, let's make a website which to cater for the social media generation. Yep.
I would imagine you speak about a new approach to getting information across. This would, in some way, tie in with the psychology of it, whether this was a formal study or formal research on your part, or just a basic understanding of what gathers people's attention in this current era, the way you present information. Did you pay particular attention to that and the psychology of it?
I didn't actually study formally, but I just picked up on what I had learned in my experience in marketing, and it's been 2 years, and throughout the 2 years I've actually managed to learn more about the users that I'm focusing at, and I've been able to bring more people to the website that way.
What would you say is your intention? What is your and also I think important tying it to intention. The web is an open space. It's a space for Muslims. It's a space for non-Muslims. It's a space for agnostics as well. What is your audience and your intention in putting information out to this audience?
First and foremost, the target audience is Muslims to learn about the deen and faith, and to be confident about being Muslims. We live at a time where Muslims around the world, some unfortunately have started to question the faith and if they belong in the religion. So hopefully, with IlmFeed, I can inspire them and show them stories of Muslims around the world, to inspire them and just to learn basics about Islam, and hopefully encourage them to learn more and more about Islam, if not through IlmFeed, through other avenues. And obviously, there are articles which are catered for those who have some knowledge, for more serious learners. And secondly, we have articles which are designed for non-Muslims as well, where to show the positive aspects of Muslims. At a time when Muslims, unfortunately, are portrayed negatively in some parts of the media, I'm trying to have a alternative to show that Muslims are not all bad. They do good things, and I've posted many articles which show the good things that Muslims do, particularly in the West.
And with your background in studying the Islamic sciences, Brother Rafiq, I would assume that's something that you would pay particular importance to, through your own research, as well as, if need be, consultation with other scholars, your teachers, and so forth, to make sure that whatever's presented out there is not controversial, it's not something that's going to sow more devastation, more disunity, and it's also, true to the authentic spirit of Islam, checked and rechecked.
As I said, I've studied an Alamiya course, which alhamdulillah I've graduated from last September. So that was a base for me, and I tried to use the knowledge I've gained in order to, and then use that to disseminate that to the wider audience. And my teachers, they're always happy to help me. If I've got any questions or any advice, they're there to help me. And what I do is avoid controversial subjects which can be seen as sectarian or promoting one manhaj or school of thought over another. So I try to keep IlmFeed that is accessible to all. Muslims are of a wide range of thoughts, so I try to cater for everyone rather than be just for one school of thought. Yeah. Although I'm from a traditional background, and I ensure that I don't post anything which contravenes the Sharia.
And does that approach, has that approach yielded dividends from the sort of feedback that you're getting to what has been put out there? Is this the type of material that actually people like to read, people take joy, relish in actually reading and engaging with?
Yes, actually most of the traffic to IlmFeed comes through social media sites like Facebook, and I'm able to monitor the number of shares and likes. So alhamdulillah, I know that they've liked the article and they've shared it. When someone likes an article and they share it, that means they want others to read as well. So I could monitor those metrics. And I've received emails of people thanking me for what they've learned, messages, and alhamdulillah, I think I've received it's been received well.
You spoke about the platform. Just elaborate on that for us a bit, the platforms that you've used so far and the tools that you've used as well to try and get people's attention and make things readable and accessible.
As I said, Facebook is the most, it brings in the most traffic, and we're also on Twitter and Instagram. And there's also a mailing list which we've launched, allowing people to receive articles straight into the inboxes. And just recently we've opened a WhatsApp broadcast list as well as a Telegram channel. So the main one is Facebook. That's the main platform.
For somebody out there who perhaps is hearing this for the first time, look at your platform this evening. You list history, you list inspirational, you list mosques, you list people and perhaps stories, knowledge, technology. These are some of the focus areas for you. What would you consider to be newsworthy? What's the type of formula, if you want to call it, that you try to use?
I think what I look out for is various subjects. It's not a website designed for just one subject. It's quite open to many subjects, but the focus on sharing inspirational stories. Any story that will inspire Muslims. The hadith which means a lot to me, which is a motivator to me, is whoever guides another to a good, he will receive a similar reward. In any way I could guide a single Muslim or many Muslims to do an action, inshallah, I will receive some share of the reward. So positive stories about Muslims, Muslims around the world, and another focus is in Islamic history from the Ottoman Empire, which is quite recent, all the way to different Islamic caliphates, and then of course the stories of Sahaba and the Prophet Seerah. We've got more stories coming up, inshallah.
And while we are, trying to stay clear of controversial issues, it would be inevitable that you would have to deal with issues related to politics. You would have to deal with issues related to suffering in the Muslim world. When you are forced to deal with such issues, what would be the aspects that you would be more prone to highlight, to cast the story in a way that perhaps is not too depressing or too heavy for the reader?
Yeah, unfortunately, there are many stories which are, as I said, depressing. I've kind of avoided sharing such stories. It's meant to be something where there's so many stories that we see on Facebook and other media. This is meant to be counter that, not for Muslims not to get too depressed and to know that there's something to be happy about. So I've avoided those stories, to be honest.
Indeed. Looking back 2 years, it's been quite an eventful journey, and I know as you know, this material comes through, either material that you compile yourself or material that others, guest writers as you call them, would send through. It's a personal journey, it's an exciting journey, and sometimes the responses that would come from members of the public to a particular story could give rise to another story in itself. Looking back at these years, what have been maybe some of the more memorable sort of posts that have gone out and responses as well that you've received?
One article that comes to mind is the pictures from Hajj from 1953. The pictures were taken by a reporter from National Geographic magazine. What I noticed was such pictures, in terms of digitally, they were available on various websites, but there was no one single website where people could go and see the pictures. So I decided to collate all the pictures and just commenting on how it was to do Hajj in 1953. It's been over 60 years and so much has changed, and that particular article went viral and it was shared all over the internet from Muslims and non-Muslims who were intrigued by how Hajj was, and that was one of the most popular articles on IlmFeed that I could think of.
And in terms of the feedback received, I'm quite curious to know, with this material filtering down to feeds all over the world, specific responses you've got from perhaps very far-flung off places or even non-Muslim readers in particular? I
have access to the analytics to show which countries they're coming from, and it's quite amazing to see small, remote countries that I've never heard of myself going on the IlmFeed. The list is quite long. They come from all over the world, and it's quite amazing how things can be shared and spread through social media. It's quite a powerful tool to use. So social media can actually be used for good and bad. So people use social media to share bad things and things which are un-Islamic. So I'm trying to use these tools to share things which are good, inshallah.
Inshallah, Brother Rafiq, it's been interesting, very uplifting speaking to you, inshallah. It's a wonderful initiative, started off with a wonderful intention, and inshallah, that intention is now being realized with this knowledge, bite-sized pieces of beautiful knowledge, filtering its way down to people of all walks of life throughout the world. We wish you all the best in this initiative, and may the Almighty, inshallah, take you from strength to strength, inshallah. Online from London, United Kingdom, Brother Rafiq bin Jubair, who's a student of the Islamic Sciences, a scholar of Deen, and the founder of the IlmFeed website. It was interesting to hear the story behind it. Always great to, know something that you've seen, you've appreciated, that seems to be going viral from time to time. To know where it came from, that it's in good hands, and it's a wonderful way of doing da'wah, reminders, inspiration, motivation for the believers, and also portraying the true, beautiful, authentic face of Islam to the world.